My name is Doug Brady. I am the Associate Director of Admissions at Radford University. I'm not going to talk to you today a lot about Radford, though, as much as I want to, all right? And hopefully we all love Radford, okay? I will talk to you about college admissions in general. And so, to start that, a little bit about me. So, I'm from Prince William County. I grew up here. I was raised here, spent my entire life here. And then I graduated from Potomac High School, okay? So it hurts a little bit when I walk in Hilton, but I forgive you. Do I have any Potomac parents in here? There we go. All right.
Hilton parents.
All right. With that, so I graduated from Potomac. From there, I went to Old Dominion University, all right? I was a sports management major, not your typical get into college admissions major, probably. I don't think I have a mic, so. We'll be good. I can project. All right. So with that, sports management, not really your typical get into college admissions major, all right? But I started giving tours at ODU when I was a sophomore. I started working in the admissions office my junior year, and I've been in an admissions office every year since then, okay? When I graduated from ODU, my boss at the time in admissions said, I have this full-time job, why don't you just apply for it? Okay, it's 2008. What was going on in 2008? There were no jobs, right? So I said, yeah, that sounds like a good idea. I'll probably apply for that. Applied for that job, got it. 3 years at Old Dominion in admissions. I was an admissions counselor, moved up to a senior admissions counselor. And then from there, I moved to Radford. Radford, I've been there for 2.5 years. I moved there as an assistant director and got bumped up to associate director after my first year at Radford. Okay? So that's kind of my story. The reason I got into college admissions, the reason I ever went to my boss and said, I want to give tours at ODU. The reason that I started was a passion for helping students get to college. And I hope that comes across to you today. And I hope you see how passionate I am about helping your students get to college, especially students from Prince William County, because that's where I'm from. And when I started at ODU, I got to recruit Prince William County. And that was something that I always loved about my job. All right? I'm not as lucky now because I don't get to recruit Prince William County, but I still do love helping students get to college. Okay? As we're going through this presentation, I gave this presentation at Hilton back in November, actually. We had an awesome session. And this presentation is not mine, it's ECMC's, and you guys might have seen those books while they're sitting out there. I know they're on the Potomac table. It has great information, but it's designed to be interactive. And so I need you to ask those questions that you're thinking of. You're here today to get your questions answered. One of the things that I always sit on panels and all these different things across the state of Virginia, one thing that you hear from myself and all my colleagues anytime we're on a panel is college admissions is different everywhere. We might do it one way at Radford and a different way at Mason and a different way at VCU and a different way at UVA. Ask these questions. And my answer is probably usually going to start with, well, it depends, but that's all right. We can get through it together, okay? And so as we're going through this, please help me make it interactive. Ask any questions that you might have. My computer is a little bit slow on the trigger there. How college can change your life. This is really geared towards the students, but I'll go through some of the statistics with you, all right? So looking at some of the statistics that you have, why you should go to college. Unemployment rates are directly tied to your level of education. That's a fact, okay? Studies consistently show that attending college adds to your lifelong earnings. We're talking $1 million. So this is the point where I always ask the students, what would you do with $1 million? And they have crazy answers. Do I have any students in here? What would you do with $1 million?
I'd help my family and my community.
Yeah? What would you do with $1 million? She would help her family. That's what she said. No pressure. She said she'd take care of herself. I'm just kidding. Do the same? Anybody else have a different answer? Any students in here? You can tell me. Mom wants to tell me what she would do with $1 million. Pay for college, yeah. College is an investment in your future. And college for parents is a lot different than what it was when you went. It's an investment in your future, and I know it costs a lot more. And I'm not telling you that college is for everybody because it's not, okay? Not everybody that I know went to college. I'll tell you a story. My second year in college admissions, I was at ODU. I had a cousin that was here at Hilton. He was graduating. He was graduating, and he wanted to come to ODU. And because his cousin worked in college admissions at ODU, he thought he was going to get in. Well, that puts the cousin that works in college admissions in a pretty tough spot. And so that was probably one of the hardest conversations I ever had to have in my entire life. And my first question to him, and that shaped the entire conversation when he couldn't answer it, was, why do you want to go to college? And I said, your mom, my aunt, I know she can't just be paying money for you to go party, okay? And so why do you want to go to college? And he didn't have an answer. And I said, is it because your friends are going? And he said, yeah, I guess that's probably right. So we worked through that together, and we kind of realized that 4 years is not going to be for him to start. And it's not for everybody to start. It's not for everybody at a certain time. That's been one of the biggest eye-opening experiences for me moving to Southwestern Virginia. Southwestern Virginia is an extremely underserved population in this state. But they have a lot of students out there that don't necessarily go to four-year colleges. That's not bad. They go to trade schools. They go get associate degrees. They do those types of things because those are the careers they want to get into. So you have to start thinking about why you want to go to college and how's it going to serve you for your future. All right? And my cousin did not graduate from Hilton on time, but after summer class he did. And we got enrolled in Nova. And so that was his path. And there's a path for everybody. So keep that in mind. These are just weekly earnings and unemployment rates based on education level. So you can see some of those statistics there. All right? Any students in here? Let's try this side. Are you a student? Why do you want to go to college? Get a job that you would like, right? That's a common answer. One of the most common. Or to make money. One of the things that are on parents' minds these days is, my student even going to get a job when they graduate from college? It's a question I can't answer, unfortunately. But hopefully, if you're going and you're using the resources at that college or university, we're going to help you find the way to get to your job, okay? College is important. Higher level job satisfaction, more satisfied in their home life, more involved in the community, more likely to give back to the community that they live in. All these types of things are tied in with why we should go to college. All right? I don't need to tell you guys. You guys have taken the first step. You guys are here. And that's the first step, okay, in wanting to go to college. You're here today through 2 days of driving rain that I drove all the way up from Radford, Virginia in, all right? Not to mention, I didn't have running water Monday through Wednesday because as cold as it was here, it was colder in the mountains and my pipes froze. So cherish that shower that you get in the morning. That's what I'll tell you. All right. This is one of the things, this is why I started giving tours at ODU. Choosing the right college. I wanted to tell people why I chose to go to ODU and tell them how I could help them come to ODU. But even as I started giving tours, I realized very quickly, ODU's not for everybody. Radford's not for everybody. Everybody's going to find their right fit. And one of the most important pieces in finding the right fit and choosing the right college for you is definitely going to be visiting campus. There's over 6,000 colleges to choose from in the United States. All right? With all those choices, how do you start? Anybody have any ideas? Nobody? Go ahead.
What you want to study.
What you want to study? That's a good place to start. Yeah. GPA? I like both of those. Yeah.
What size college you want?
Size is important. All these factors. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Geographical location.
Where do you want to go? One was over here. I didn't hear you. I'm sorry.
Tuition cost.
Tuition, cost, absolutely. Those are going to play important roles. Where do we start looking at that? Where do we start looking to figure out all these different things? Online. Well, the internet's powerful, right? The internet wasn't as big when I was going to college. Okay? We didn't have a computer until I was a freshman in high school, actually. And we had dial-up. You know that annoying sound, right? Most students don't even know what I'm talking about. It's nice to talk to parents. Internet is a great place. Anybody know a search engine that you might use? Google, yeah. Probably wasn't a search engine. Yeah, Naviance is a good tool. College Board. Yeah, College Board's a great one. College Board, you can drill down by geographic location, cost, major, GPA. All those things that we talked about, you can drill down on College Board. College Board is an awesome resource. College Board is an awesome resource to start that search. Okay? Using those tools, we start figuring it out. Some students know what they want to do. I'll tell you, for me, my college search, and since I do this for a living, I do know that people still go to these. It didn't start on the internet. Mine started in that cafeteria right behind us. There was a college fair at Hilton High School. And we all went. Everybody from this side of the county was there. We all started. And I picked up a stack of brochures, right? And that's how I started my college search. And so if it's online, that's great. I think online's an awesome resource because then you can narrow down what table do you want to stop at when you go to one of those college fairs. One of the biggest determining factors in me going to Old Dominion was my campus visit and my admissions counselor. He didn't convince me to come to ODU, but he gave me all the information. He was always there for me. He always supported me. And I actually got to work with him when I got to ODU, which was pretty cool. All right? But you have all that. And so that's where my college search started. Some students know what they want to do. I talked about learning a trade profession, getting an associate's degree, going to a trade school, those types of things. You might have a certain degree that you want to do. Okay? One of the big ones I always hear right now is I want to do CSI. Well, if you tell us at Radford you want to do CSI, we send you over to the theater department and we get you going. All right? You might have a degree in mind. Nationwide, 80% of college freshmen will change their major at some point. Nationwide. It's not Radford, it's not Virginia. Nationwide. I was in that minority. I went to college for sports management. I graduated with sports management. I don't do anything with sports management. So I was in that 20%. That'll change. My brother got recruited for sports. He really wanted to play Division I soccer. Okay? That was his dream. I was at ODU. He's 2 years younger than I am. He wanted to play. Came down to ODU, loved it. Had a full ride to ODU. Parents are going to start cringing when I tell this story. Had a full ride to ODU. He asked the coach, he said, all I want is a roster spot. Don't guarantee me playing time, don't guarantee me anything else. I just want a roster spot. Coach said, I can't do it, I'll guarantee you a tryout. He said, I can't do it. He knew he wanted to do engineering. He was dead set on that, had known it for a while, was good at it, and knew he wanted to do engineering. He ended up going to Catholic University of America. He was a Division III All-American in soccer, has an engineering degree, full-time job as soon as he graduated. So it worked out for him. But parents always cringe when I say he turned down that full ride to go to a private school. There are different opportunities, and one of the reasons I tell that story, you never want to pick a school for the wrong reasons. And one of the things he always got told, and if anybody's looking at getting recruited for athletics out here, never pick a school for a coach. His coach left after the first year. Okay? Start thinking about those types of things. And that's why I'm always weary of majors. If you're dead set on it and you know that's what you want to do, do it. If you're truly undecided, and parents, I know this is a tough part of the process, but they're 17 and 18. They might not know what they want to do, and that's okay. If they are truly undecided, let them be undecided. And that's easier at some schools than others. At Radford, there's only 3 competitive programs that you have to apply into. Look at Virginia Tech right down the road from us. It's extremely different. Most of their programs are competitive. You have to apply into their programs at admission, okay? So you got to start looking at those types of questions as you're going through. Your goals might change when you're researching. For the goals to change, what do we have to do first? Have them. We got to have goals. I always tell students it's a little bit different for everybody. Might write them down, put them in your phone, whatever it is. I was at a conference this summer. We had a motivational speaker. It was our last session of our 5th day at this conference. And he asked, raise the hands, how many people have goals in the room? Most hands went up. He said, how many people write those goals down? Some hands go down. How many people look at their goals every single day? More hands go down. By the end, everybody who looked at it every day, went back to it every day, there's about 5 people in a room, about 1,000 that were still standing. It's important to look at your goals, revisit them, and remember that they might change. And so helping your students establish those goals and working through that is always helpful. On the bottom, we already talked about changing your major. Narrowing down your list of potential colleges and figuring out what characteristics are really important. So all those things we talked about before. And they're all listed right here. All right? Some of the things that might be important as you're going through. I will tell you through my college search what was really important to me, where it was located, and funny enough, it actually came down to Radford and ODU for me. And when I chose ODU, I never thought I'd be back in Radford, but I am. But looking at those, what was important to me was my major. One of my biggest deciding factors was I was ready to go to Radford and not do my major. ODU had my major at the time, and that's one of the reasons I picked it. Location, ODU is certainly way more similar to where I grew up, here in Prince William County, than Radford, Virginia, okay? Having lived in Radford, Virginia, though, I'll tell you, I was being a silly high school student at the time, thinking that there was nothing to do. Oh my gosh, I'm going to a town, all they have is Walmart. What will I do? You can do anything in Radford that you would do here. Those are two of the biggest factors for me. Also, I always tell students this. How far away do you want to go? And their answer is always what? As far away as possible. And Dad said 30 minutes. So when they say as far away as possible, that's great. That's awesome. How much have they thought this through? Who's paying for the plane ticket? Huh? How are we going to get home? How many times a year am I going to come home? These types of questions, and you start asking them and drilling it down. Just to say, you're going 30 minutes, though, doesn't always work, right? You gotta let them figure it out. So when you go visit, and visiting campus is something that's going to keep coming up. So when you go visit campus, when you're talking about going there, take that plane ride. Maybe they've never even flown by themselves. Just send them on their own, right? Don't do that. They have to start thinking realistically. And I think what we said over here earlier, GPA is one of those factors that we're looking at where we can go to college. GPA is one of those factors we can look at. So that's when we really have to start being realistic with ourselves as students and parents. And College Board is a great tool for that because they'll give you those medium ranges. Now remember, those median ranges are that. They're ranges. We take above that. We take below that. If it's an average, that's just the average. But remember that we have to start being realistic. Because applications cost $50. Okay? That's a lot of money. How many schools should we apply to? 3? 5? Anybody else? None. 9? None? I'm guessing you don't want your student on a plane ride away. There's no right answer. When I was at Hilton in November, the poor first girl that said she's raising 15. Oh, that's a little bit much. There's no right answer. If she wants to apply to 15 and she has the money, I guess she can do that. I generally say 5 to 7 is a great place to start. All right. So talking about GPA and some of the things that you should consider when you're looking at colleges, campus culture, things you like to do outside of the classroom, religious affiliations, okay? I've been in public school since kindergarten, whether it be here in Prince William County, whether it be at ODU, whether it be at Radford. I've never been at a denominational school. Cost of attendance, and so there's a financial aid session today, so I'm not going to go too much into that. But remember, cost of attendance is huge. You have to take where you're starting, how much they're giving you, and what's that come out to, okay? I get this email on my desk since I've worked at public schools. Well, I won't single anybody out. Such and such a private school is giving me $15,000. Why are you only giving me $3,000? Well, they're starting $50,000 ahead of me. So it's a little bit harder, all right? Look at cost of attendance. Don't just look at that sticker price. That's what we call it, that sticker price, all right? That bottom bullet point was actually really important right there. Never, ever, ever let that sticker price or the cost discourage you from applying. Never. And I try to preach this to students. Don't ever let the cost deter you from applying. You never ever know what that school is going to be able to do for you in a financial aid package. You don't know what they're going to be able to get you, how they're going to be able to help you out. And if that's a place that you can truly see yourself being successful, don't ever get discouraged and not apply there because of cost. That might be a determining factor, so that might be something that in the end does play a role and says why we can't go there, but you should still give yourself the opportunity to apply. All right? You should give yourself that opportunity. These are some other ones. So we talked about College Board. I saw a lot of people writing, so that's awesome. These are some other ones that will help you drill down where you want to search. Okay? Now the campus visit. I don't know if there's a slide in here about that. Let's see what's next. It goes right into applications. So I want to talk about the campus visit real quick. Does anybody want me to go back to that last slide? All right. So while I talk about campus visits, you can finish writing down what's up there.
Will these slides be available online?
Honestly, if you go to their website, ECMC, they're on there. The entire presentation's on there. Yeah. Now with that, so the campus visit. What's the most important thing on a campus visit? Knowing when students are there? Yeah? I didn't want to get in this picture. What was it?
You said what's the most important?
Yeah. Safety. Anybody else?
Room and board.
Where to start? Most times. Room and board. What was it? Room and board? Where are they going to live? That's always a student question. The most important thing to me when you're on a campus visit, get your questions answered, just like today. Get your questions answered. You've taken the time to come see us. We want to answer your questions. We want to be able to tell you what you want to know. Write your questions down. Make sure you ask them. Make sure you write down the answer. Especially when you're doing 2, 3, 4 college visits in one day. Get back in the car and you're like, what did they just say? Which one was that? Write it down. It's going to help you out. All right? But the campus visit is an extremely important part because this is where the students really have to start getting realistic very quickly again. Not only do you have to go there, like it, like the people that are around, and that's important, knowing when people are around on campus. We get that a lot during our spring break week. Sometimes we don't realize that our spring break week is different from yours, right? They are. So people always come on their spring break, or our spring break, and they're like, why are students not here? Well, it's spring break. So doing a little research, but it is important to make sure that you're getting your questions answered when you're on campus. And making sure that you're walking around, finding people. I don't like to encourage people to do more than 2 visits a day. 2 visits a day, because if you're thinking about it, you start in the admissions office, right? What are we there to do? Make you feel good. Yeah. We're going to show everything off. You're going to go out with a student tour guide. What are they there to do? Make you feel good, right? So after your tour, what do? You get in your car and you leave? Walk around a little bit. Pick up a student newspaper. Go ask a random student what they think. Start doing a little bit of your own investigation. That's important. That's an important part of the... Yeah? That's a great time to start. I always say it's never too early. And I was talking to Mrs. Williamson from Potomac out there before we got started here. And we were talking about campus tours and stuff. They just took a campus tour for Potomac, some of the kids there. It's never too early to start. One of the things we were talking about is I was really lucky. So, and you guys are lucky because of the area that you're in. For me, I pretty much knew I didn't want to go to George Mason. It was too close. There's nothing wrong with it, but it was too close to home. It's the same way people in Hampton Roads feel about going to ODU. It's too close to home. And so I kind of knew that. That doesn't mean I didn't visit. It's still an awesome opportunity to go to a campus, figure out some of the factors that you like about their campus, and find one that has similar stuff. And so anytime we went on a trip, we went to New York and New Jersey a lot, we would stop in Delaware, drive around. Were my brother and I going to go to Delaware? Probably not. But it was a way to see a college campus. And so when you're starting to take family vacations and do those types of things, start just popping into campuses and seeing what they have to offer. And you can start doing that. And that's a great way for students to start narrowing down some of the things they like. What are some of the things you like about that campus? One of the big ones I always hear is they got to have Chick-fil-A. All right? Whatever's important to them. That wasn't on any of the lists we saw, right? All right. We've talked a lot about the search. I do want to get to the college application, okay? We got about 20 minutes left, and this is probably where you're going to have the most questions, so feel free to shout them out. Each college, and this is what I said at the beginning, right? Each college has its own requirements. I'll give you a quick example. Letters of recommendation, they're different everywhere. We say you can do up to 3. None are required. JMU, they say you do up to 1. Once they read your first one, they're not going to read past that. Know the requirements at every school. You have to start doing research, and that's awesome. Not only visiting during your junior year, but starting to remember what are some of the requirements. And that's why you have to write it down, because there's no way humanly possible you can remember it all. Short essays, placement tests, submit your scores, reference letters, activities resumes, these are different everywhere. All right? You can check it also on the website. The website has become a pretty useful tool for all college admissions offices. All right? Due dates. Write it down. Put that into your phone. Put it into a spreadsheet. Whatever you have to do to remember when a college application is due, do it. I wasn't that organized, but I did know my due dates. It's going to make it easier. Where's my session coordinator? Is he in here? Dipped out on me? He's a counselor at Battlefield. We were just talking about it. January 15th is a huge deadline. February 1st is a huge... Oh, there he is. We were talking about it, right? How busy are you right now?
I'll be working tomorrow.
So will I. We all will. And so you got to start figuring out when those dates, because most colleges don't just have one date. Does anybody know the difference between early action and early decision? Nobody wants to get it wrong, huh? I'll tell you. Early decision is binding. So if you apply to a school that has early decision, you get accepted, you're saying that you're going to go there if you get accepted, early decision. It's binding. Early action is non-binding. You apply early action, you get accepted, you still have till May 1st to let us know what you want to do. Okay? That's the difference. Early decisions can vary. There are schools in Virginia that have it. William & Mary, JMU. William & Mary's, for example. If you apply early decision to William & Mary and you don't get in, you can apply back for their regular decision. You need to ask those types of questions. And it gets confusing because every single school is different. So keep that in mind. But the biggest difference is early decision is binding and early action is not. Okay? Yeah?
Does early decision make it more likely to get in?
It depends. It depends. I have a cousin who's applying for colleges right now. And JMU is number 1 on his list. And at JMU they told him, if you don't hit this criteria, don't apply early decision, apply for regular. Work with your admissions counselor at these different universities to ask them when is the best time for me to apply, if you're not sure. Some places it's easier to get in early decision, some places harder. You know, at Radford, for example, it's the same. We use all the same criteria no matter when you apply. Okay? So it just depends. I know you hate to hear that answer. Read the directions carefully. One thing I try to tell students, and when I was here in November and we were talking about this, if you can't take the time to capitalize your name and capitalize your street when you're filling out an application for a college, we got to start doing those things. We got to start making time for that stuff. You got to read the directions carefully. Okay? I know it's confusing sometimes, but I cannot tell you. It is upwards of 50 students that have applied for spring of 14. All right? I know it gets confusing sometimes, but they're applying for the fall. All right? And so if they took a minute just to slow down, read the directions, we'd be all right. All right? They just create, that's one more hurdle they have to jump through, because then they have to email us, tell us that they really wanted to do fall, then we have to change everything. So take your time. Remember that it's you coming across in that piece of paper. That's you on a piece of paper. So for the question, what percentage of the time are the parents spending on the application versus the students? Same thing on the tour. Who's asking all the questions? I had to put that back on you. More and more you see parents that are getting more and more involved. It's not necessarily right or wrong. You know your student. You know how to help them. You know how to motivate them. It's up to you. I can tell you on my side of the desk, we love to see the students do it. We love a phone call from the student instead of mom. Okay? I was in my car waiting for a college fair, as we often do throughout the fall, and I got a call from my aunt. Same young man that's applying for JMU this year. And he goes to a Maryland private school. And she calls me, she said, I need your college admissions help. And I said, uh-oh. I said, are you being a typical Maryland private school mom right now? And she said, yep. He doesn't have any time to do it. I don't know when he could fit it in. He could fit it in. I know he could have. But she was helping them, and they were doing it, and they're proofreading. And that's what I always did. I'll tell you my personal experiences. My parents always let me do it. And they said, if you want to go to college, that's your responsibility. We will help you, and we will support you in whatever you need. And I always had them read through everything. I always had them proof everything. We worked together. And so that's what you got to try to do, I think, is make it a partnership. Work together to get it done. I think if you're on a college tour and you have a question, ask the question. There was one student, I gave a tour last summer, and moms tend to not enjoy co-ed dorms, right? Moms with daughters tend to not enjoy co-ed dorms. And her dad, what about this co-ed dorms? She was like, I was like, you handled that really well, because the student, she didn't even think about it twice. I said, you handled that really well. She said, this is our 10th college. He's asked it at every one. So she was used to it by then, all right? But if you have questions, ask the questions. If they have questions, they're probably not going to ask them. It depends. So there's no right or wrong answer.
The only reason why I asked that is because it's 3 times this much when I applied to college. So it's our investment. So
Yeah.
it should be out for no, I'm just kidding. So I just wanted to ask that because I know that when you're going down that list of things,
Yeah. And you hear parents that are in that mentality. It's my investment, it's my choice. Yeah, to an extent, it is. I was very lucky. I graduated from college with 0 debt. 0. My parents helped me a ton. Obviously. I also worked 2 jobs. Okay? But it was their investment. But they never pushed me one way or the other. And I was always very fortunate about that. And that's one of the things you got to be careful, because as much as we all want you to come to our universities, we want you to pick the right university. And so when I said at the beginning, ODU wasn't for everybody, Radford's not for everybody, I truly mean that. It's not. Okay? We want you to go somewhere where you're going to be successful. We want you to go somewhere where you're going to graduate in 4 years. I did it. I graduated in 4 years. If I did it, I know all your students can do it. I guarantee you that. My parents always said I was so fresh in college because I took 4 years of high school off. My mind was ready to go. It is your investment, but you have to remember, they're the ones who have to succeed. And so that's why it's important for the students to start being realistic. Can I be successful where I'm going? Yes?
I don't know if you could talk a little bit about when are the best time frames, the ranges and the time frames to apply.
To apply.
And then, like you're saying, with the early decision too,
Yeah.
is that like a sophomore year event, or?
Everything's going to be after your junior year of high school. So you can't do a college application until after your junior year of high school. All right? Early decision is where you really want to do your research and find out, is that something that I'm interested in? Am I dead set on this school? If I get in here, am I going to go regardless of financial package? That's the biggest thing to remember in early decision. You're basically committing to a school without knowing any of the financial aid that you're going to get. That's the biggest downside to early decision. All right? When you're talking about early action, there's not a lot of downsides. And so early action is one of those things just to try to prompt you to get it done sooner. And so December 1st is a common one. You might see December 15. You might see some November dates for early action. And that's non-binding. That means you're going to be able to get your financial aid. That means you're going to be able to take another campus visit. You're going to be able to work through the process and figure out what school is the best for you. Okay? But you cannot do a college application until after your junior year of high school. And so with that said, what are we looking at as far as GPA? a lot of times we're only taking into consideration through your junior year. We might get those semester grades and be able to take those into consideration as well, but a lot of times it's just up to your junior year. I know you had a question.
Yeah, speaking of proofreading, helping your student with the application, what about the essay? Obviously, parents are going to want their student to present the best essay, but
Yeah.
if they do it, how does an admissions staff?
We can tell. We can tell if a parent writes an essay or somebody else has maybe helped them really put it into somebody else's words. We read thousands of these. I know what they should sound like. I know how to kick the game-winning field goal. I know how to do all this other stuff. Help them and encourage them. Just proof it for them. Let it be in their own words. Honestly. We had a bunch of questions.
How much weight does that carry in it?
It depends. Every school is different. All right? When we get going on that. It depends everywhere you go. You know, it depends on things that you're asking. For us at Radford, so we require your transcript. We require your application. We require your test scores. Every other single piece of the application is optional. So if you don't do it, it holds 0. But if you do it, we're going to look at it. And that's how most universities are. So you got to do it to get it considered, though. And so if you do it, then we're going to take that into account. Yes?
What are the benefits of early decision besides the obvious of just being done and accepted? Are there any other benefits?
There are some benefits at some of the more highly selective universities. Again, a lot of times you'll have a better chance to get in. They might guarantee you some financial aid stuff. So that's everything is probably the benefits of early decision. Yeah.
How much negotiation is there really in the financial package? How do you go about doing that?
The financial...
I want to staff
Yeah.
because I hate negotiating car dealers.
Yeah. Well, good. Don't negotiate with us then. It depends. A lot of times at a state school, we have a lot less. We have a lot less leeway. We have a lot less funds. And a lot of times at a private school, you might be able to talk to them a little bit more and talk a little bit more about price and cost. When you're talking about a state school, there's not a lot of negotiation. The biggest thing on financial aid, and I know there's a session on it, so I won't harp on it too much, but the biggest thing for financial aid is everybody's going to consider you for merit-based scholarships. That's usually the key in applying early action. So that's going to automatically consider you for scholarships, merit-based. Merit-based scholarships are based solely on GPA, solely on test scores. All right? And so you want to be considered for those. All you have to do is apply early. And they're not negotiable. They are the amount. And I have some handouts that you can kind of take to kind of see that. There's a dollar amount tied with a GPA and a test score. And so they're not really negotiable. The other most important part of financial aid is the FAFSA form. It's the free application for federal student aid. You have to get that done, and you have to try to get it done by the priority deadline. This is one of the things that students really need help with, because it's whoever's claiming them on their taxes. Whether it's their parents, whether it's a guardian, whoever's claiming them on their taxes really has to fill out that form. Okay? And so the FAFSA form is important in getting it done by the priority deadline. And that's what you want to do. And then you really want to, that'll set you up to work with the financial aid office as you're going forward. All right?
And that's not until after the junior year?
You cannot actually get to the FAFSA form until January 2 of the senior year. So students that are seniors right now just got to that form January 2nd. You can't get to it before then.
I know the only application process you're going to be looking at the GPA.
Yep.
But are you looking at just, I can't remember, so just the 4 classes? Let's say a child is A and B, but maybe in their foreign language they may have gotten a C or a D, but they're A and B in all their other classes.
Yep.
Is that going to be
When we're looking
a
at
factor?
When we're looking at GPA, what do we look at? It depends. Everywhere's different. At Radford, we're going to look at everything. If it helps you out, if it helps your student out to just look at your core classes, we'll recalculate it just to look at your core classes. We're always going to try to do what's best for the student. Other places will take out those electives no matter what. So it just depends. That's a great question to ask. Okay? You guys are extremely lucky now because when I went through Prince William County, we were not on the 10-point scale. You guys are on the 10-point scale now. That's a level playing field. That's extremely lucky. All right? I do want to go through SAT and ACT. They are extremely different tests. One of the biggest pieces of advice I can give to you guys right now as parents and students that are in here, take both tests. Try both of them at least once. Whichever one you're more comfortable with, whichever one you like better, take that test again. All right? But take both tests. Make sure you try them. They test extremely differently. The SAT is more reasoning. The ACT tends to be more how you've actually been taught in public school your entire life, especially in Virginia. Not to say everybody that takes the ACT does better, but it varies highly from student to student. I can be in a room and this half will say they like the SAT better, this half will say they like the ACT better. They are different tests. Hopefully they can take both. Start taking a test this spring. Try to take an ACT or an SAT or both sometime this spring. Make sure you're signing up early in your fall of your senior year, all right, to take another one. June will be the last time that you can take one. They don't offer them throughout the entire summer. So make sure you're taking those tests. That's one of the biggest things to get you ready and help get the ball rolling in your college application. Yeah?
Which one carries more weight, or does it depend on?
Most colleges and universities are going to look at whichever one you do better on. Whichever one you do better on.